My name is Tim. I'm an account manager at Gardin, so if you're unlucky, we'll be in contact every now and then. But I want to congratulate you with your purchase of your garden sensors. And today I'm at Gielke's Strawberries, and here I will show you how to install the garden sensors in your greenhouse. And we will do this by first looking at what the garden sensor is and with what components it comes within the box. Then second of all, we will look at how to connect the sensor with network so that it can actually get the data to the cloud. And then third of all, we will look into how to best install the sensor physically in your greenhouse and what you need to watch out for. So let's dive right into it, and I'll see you there. Let's do some unboxing. This is the box your garden sensor will come in. So let's see what's inside. When we open the box, you see there's a lot of flaps and things going on, but there it is, the Gardin camera. Now, when looking at this, it consists of two parts. We will eventually mount it like this underneath your crop, and then the camera can actually look around. It can go like this, it can go like this, and it's made of two parts. So we can take this part off, and this is actually the mount of the camera. So we place this underneath a metal bar, wooden bar, whatever you have laying around. And if, there's also a little manual in there, if you use something that's curved, you can also adjust this part by placing this underneath, and then you see that this is also curved a little bit. There are holes for screws, there are holes for tie wraps. So those are the things we can use to actually mount the sensor. And then when this is placed underneath the bar, we can start placing the camera underneath. So you would want to place it underneath there before you plug in the Ethernet cable. The reason being is when we plug this in, like so, we have to still twist it a bit before it's really tight. Then after, we need to use a hex key, a 2mm hex key, to also fix the two screws that are at the other sides. And when we do that, it's really fixed, and then we cannot unscrew this anymore. But if you were to twist these motors, when you have plugged in the Ethernet cable and it has power, the motors will break. So it's very important to first do this and then after plug in the cable. All right, so that's what inside. Let's move on to the next bit. To connect the camera with power and internet, you need a PoE connection in your internet port. This stands for Power over Ethernet, so it means it has power and internet. So we will plug this in, and then the camera should start working. If you don't have an internet connection with PoE in your internet box, then you can use something called a PoE injector. So what this device does is it has a plug for power. So you plug that into your socket, and then you take the internet cable from your internet box, you plug it in here, and then there's one space left. So this space, this port, will combine the power and the internet, and you will create a PoE connection yourself. Et voila. So if you plug this into your sensor, it will have power and internet and will start working. The important thing about this device is when you use this, it should have 48 volts or more, and it needs 6 watts per sensor that you want to put in here. So this one has only one port for a sensor, so it can be 6 watts. But if you want a device with 4 ports, so you want to put 4 sensors in there, you'll need at least 24 watts, as 4 times 6 is 24. Alright, so that's how you can solve that problem. When you've plugged in the Ethernet cable and the lights don't start blinking and the sensor is not being active, there can be a couple reasons for that, but 2 of those are either the cable that you have used is longer than 100 meter. If that is the case, before the 100 meter starts, you will need to install a repeater to start the signal up again, so you can use a longer cable that way. Or it can be that you need to ask your IT department to check if all the Ethernet ports are open on your modem, and also that the firewalls are not blocking Gardin's data. So those are two things that you can check. When you are installing the sensor, it's essential to choose a right spot. You want the data that you gather to be representable to your greenhouse, and you also want to be able to compare it to other things that you're measuring, like a PAR sensor or a temperature sensor or your climate box. So it's good to take that into mind when you position the sensor and you install it. And of course, it's also important that the sensor can stay there without being hit by irrigation or some moving parts or that are happening at your greenhouse. And it's water repellent, so it can take a little bit of splashing water, but it's not perfectly watertight. So if you have a irrigation system above the camera, we will have to install something to protect it from that water, but we'll figure that out. So we have found a nice spot. We are in the middle of the greenhouse, and we are also very close to one of the climate computers and also different sensors like a PAR sensor and a temperature sensor here. So this is a very nice spot. So here you can see we've installed the sensor 1 meter above the crop, and also it's very sturdy. So we used a metal bar and we mounted the sensor underneath this bar, which means that it's very stable and it doesn't start shaking. And now the camera can make some very nice measurements. Now we're gonna plug in the Ethernet cable, and you will see that some lights will start flashing and that also the sensor will start making a sound. So let's check it out. You hear the sound, and you will also see that here some green and orange lights, or maybe one of them will start blinking, which means it has power and Ethernet. As it is important that the sensor is 1 meter above the crop, you can imagine what this means if you're using high wire crops. At the beginning you will have to place the sensor a bit lower, and then once the crop starts growing you have to put it higher and higher. So it's important to also take that in mind when you install the sensor. So the sensor is installed. It's sturdy and it's 1 meter above the canopy, and now we can really start making some measurements finally. Alright, so we will do the rest for you. Our IT department will remotely get access to the sensor and adjust some settings so it works perfectly for your greenhouse. And every time you now want to adjust the height of the sensor, just give us a call, because we will have to readjust those settings. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video and it was very handy for you. If you have any questions, please reach out to us and we will keep in touch. Alright, enjoy the growing season.